It is a final in Ann Arbor where number 1 Ohio State beats number 15 Michigan 27-9. It is the Buckeyes' first win against Michigan since 2019, snapping a 4-game losing streak. Julian Sayin, 233 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. On the flip side, Bryce Underwood, just 63 yards passing and 1 yard rushing with college rules there. But Ohio State remains perfect on the year. Michigan drops to 9-3. Welcome to College Football Postgame. I'm Tommy Train with Damien Harris, Bryant McFadden, Mackenzie Brooks, and Danny Kanell. B-Mac, you are the man in the middle, so I'll start with you first here. What stood out to you about Ohio State's victory today on the road?
Well, just how they dominated in the trenches on both sides of the football field. I talked about the team that outrushes the other will win this ball game based on what we've seen in the previous matchups, and that stat held true once again today. Ohio State finally outrushed Michigan to the number of 186-100. Bo Jackson was phenomenal. He looked like a seasoned vet in his first rivalry against Michigan. And what about Julian Sayin? I mean, a rocky start to start the game off with that first quarter interception, but when he finally gathered himself and found his rhythm, he was amazing. So this is a great moment for Ohio State because some of their best players in this ball game outside of their wide receivers were young guys, and Julian Sayin and Bo Jackson, and the defense just continued to do what they've done the entire season. So when we look at this quarterback, and I know, Danny, we talked about this off record, this was a great route for Julian Sayin to make that final significant push for the Heisman Trophy, seeing what he did today against Michigan's defensive unit, and then, of course, having the Big Ten championship game next Saturday against Indiana.
Which has been interesting, right, DK? Because we've been talking about Ohio State, who's been the number 1 team all year, but it's like, when do we get the Julian Sayin game? And for argument's sake, this is arguably the one for him at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's been a Julian Sayin year. I mean, to be completing 80% of your passes over 12 games is phenomenal for a young quarterback in his first time starting in the role. But the big question was, how would he do against the top-tier talent? And he found himself with some adversity early in the game. It's on the road. The conditions are nasty. And he stepped up and answered those questions and was in complete control, command of the offense, what he wanted to do with the ball. Even the 1 interception early was one where he probably got a little bit cute with it, trying to hit a back shoulder throw, maybe a little bit of an underthrow there. But overall in the day, I thought he threw a really resilient game plan that just made good decisions with the football all the time. We use that term game manager so much as a pejorative, like a negative aspect. He's a great game manager, which is sometimes takes years of experience to develop that. But, man, he does not panic. He makes good decisions with the football. And he has primed himself, as you said, for a showdown with Fernando Mendoza in the Big Ten championship game that could determine the Heisman.
1-2 in the Heisman race, and it'll be 1-2 in the Big Ten championship, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But, Damien, as we saw the weather get worse, Buckeyes were able to run the football. What stood out to you about the change in weather that then changed in game plan for Ohio State?
Well, see, that's what is making Ohio State so dangerous. We've been so focused on Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. Well, now the emergence of Bo Jackson, they have found a run game that will make people afraid, that will bring people in the box. And then at that point, you, as a defensive coordinator, pick your poison. Who do you want to beat you? Do you want it to be this physical offensive line that move people off the ball? Bo Jackson, who is becoming more seasoned as the game goes on. He's figuring out the nuances of how to use his skill set to play the position. Or do you want to get beat over the top by Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and, you know, Max Clare and those guys and let Julian Sayin throw the football all around the yard? So to your question, they have found a rhythm and a complementary style to their offense to where, again, you can take the pressure off of Julian Sayin's shoulders, although he doesn't need it. He proved that today. Yeah. But that will serve them major dividends throughout the course of the season. Whenever you have a team that is hell-bent on not letting 4-17 wreck the game, well, guess what? You can just turn around, hand the ball off to Bo Jackson, and this just stable of running backs that they have, because Bo Jackson isn't the only one now. They've got more guys in this backfield. So, again, this will make defenses, other teams, even more fearful of this Ohio State team than they already were.
Box score heavily in favor of Ohio State, double the time of possession for Michigan. And Ken, when we talk about whether Ohio State's worthy of a #1 team, which they've been all season long, what have the numbers been telling us? Power ratings tell us about this Buckeyes team.
They still have been the #1 power-rated team, and I think going into this season, we knew the offense was there, the defense was there. I think obviously having a new quarterback was going to be the only thing. Okay, maybe we need to downgrade them. We're never going to downgrade them until they tell us to, and they never did. Right? There was never a reason to doubt this team, and we rerun a college football playoff bracket all the way to the national championship every single week as we project new seeds, and all the way through, Ohio State has found themselves as the national champions, all but I believe one when we had them as a 49% chance against Georgia if they were to meet in the national championship. So basically every week they've been atop the board, and even when we run a hypothetical bracket, they are basically #1 at the end of the day too.
So all roads lead to Lucas Oil Stadium, 1v2 for the right to be champions of the Big Ten. Let's hit the early lean. Right now at FanDuel, the Buckeyes are favored by 6.5 with a total at 48.5. Dame, I'll start with you.
It's going to be a competitive game, Tommy Tran. And I'm not so ready to just jump. Like, although Ohio State was wildly impressive today, I'm not just ready to jump on the bandwagon of they're going to run Indiana out of Lucas Oil Stadium, because Indiana's a damn good football team, too. Fernando Mendoza, the running backs, the receiver, Elijah Surratt, the defense. Like, there's a lot of guys on this Indiana team, especially on the defensive front, that we don't really know. I mean, we do as analysts, but a lot of people out there, they don't know their names. They will next year whenever they turn on the NFL and watch NFL Sundays. Yeah. So if I had to lean one way or another, I would lean towards Ohio State, because when we look at every team across college football, we can all sit up here and agree Ohio State has more horses in the stable than any other team in college football at every single position. I mean, we want to talk about how great Jeremiah Smith has been. Kanell Tate, oh my goodness. He's wide receiver 1 for Ohio. I literally have it pulled up right now to show you, Tommy Tran. Yeah. I have it pulled up. Kanell Tate has 711 yards and 7 touchdowns on 39 catches, while Jeremiah Smith has 902 yards, 10 touchdowns on 70 catches. Kanell Tate is averaging 20 yards per reception. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and act like Kanell Tate is a better just football player than Jeremiah Smith. But again, going back to the point of Ohio State just has too many horses in the stable. I would have to lean towards Ohio State.
And to piggyback, I'm taking Ohio State as well. I like them to cover the 6 points. But to piggyback on Damien's point, Kanell Tate is not wide receiver 1 for Ohio State, but he may be wide receiver 1 in the NFL draft. Think about that.
Well, that's only if Jeremiah can't go yet. Yeah, Jeremiah can go.
You see what I'm saying, though? That's the abundance of riches they have for their young quarterback who's playing super efficient football. And Kurt Cinetti has done one of the more masterful jobs in college football based on what he's done the last 2 years. And I'm never debating will they be prepared, because I know they will be, right? It's just the amount of pros that Ohio State has, and they're coached the right way. They don't beat themselves. If you beat Ohio State, you have to beat them 2 times, because they're not going to have mishaps or miscues, and they're not going to execute. You just got to go beat them. And it's hard to do so when they're fully healthy, and we saw that today based on this defensive team they faced off against, because Michigan has always been a respectable defensive unit. They had no answers for the talented players that were surrounding Julian Sayin. So my early lean is Ohio State. And my late lean will be Ohio State. I'm not changing off my pick.
It's funny because a few weeks ago we did a segment, and Ken's what was like the hypothetical model projection for the Big Ten championship if it was Indiana, Ohio State, and we literally had Ohio State winning by 7 points. So it's always reassuring to know that our model is very similar to odds makers, which makes my job, it's good to know that you're on the same side as them. Outside of that, even when you guys are mentioning just the riches that they have, it kind of kills all of them in the Heisman race, which is so funny to me, because I think Julian Sayin is almost punished by having all this other star power, and even the word Jeremiah Smith somewhere in that top 10 odds is killing what could be Julian Sayin. So when you look at Mendoza, he doesn't have as much flashy star power names that are even in the conversation to go to New York, but Sayin's almost dealing with, I'm too good and the guys around me are too good to win this.
Let me ask you this. So in the Big Ten championship, let's say Julian Sayin throws for 350. 215 of those yards go to number 4. Who moves up in that Heisman hierarchy? Is it Sam? Because the argument is always, well, you got to have somebody that can throw the ball to number 4. And then it's always, well, 4 got to catch it. And he did. And he had this type of game. So, like, to our own sports line, our own version of sports line, right here at the desk, who would you move up?
You move up Diego Pavia and Jeremiah Love. That's who.
Okay, I like that.
Each other.
Yeah.
I like that.
Quickly, Danny, here.
Ohio State big or cover? Ohio State
State
cover. You're Ohio State?
Yeah.
I mean, this is Ohio State love fest. I will just remind people
Here we go.
that I think the point spread was about the same when Indiana went to Oregon. And the question were, how does Indiana stack up against all Oregon's pros that they have? And we saw Indiana handle Oregon. Where is the Big Ten championship game? Indianapolis, which is supposed to be neutral, but I guarantee you Indiana will be well represented. I think Ohio State wins, but I think this game is a field goal type game, down to the wire, and I can't wait for it.
It's going to be new blood. IU's first Big Ten title game in program history. Ohio State hadn't been there in a few years, but here it is. Chance to make the CFP according to Sportsline. And inside the lines, we know Ohio State and Indiana, Oregon, TBD. And with Michigan, thanks for playing after today's loss to Ohio State.